Welcome back to the Rockman Power Hour, a podcast where we talk to the most interesting people in the world of pop culture and everything in between. This week on the show, we are joined by none other than Jacoby Shaddix, lead singer of the band Papa Roach. Welcome back to the show. So happy you can join us again. We are very, very grateful to be continuing this amazing journey with all of you. And just right out of the gate, we just wanted to say thank you. Thank you for following us, for subscribing to the podcast. If you are new here, please make sure you make sure you subscribe, share, let us know in the comments who you want us to talk to, what you're enjoying, what you're not enjoying. We take it all to heart. We process it and we give you the best product that we possibly can. And of course, none of that is possible without you guys showing up. So thank you again. Very grateful to have you on this journey with us. And this journey would be a very lonely one if I didn't have my friend Ryan Stick, who is joining me today from the comfort of his home studio. Ryan, we got a chance to talk to Jacoby Shaddix. How cool was that?
It was so cool. I met him briefly in the show Rock Room years ago. Mm-hmm. And it was really cool to actually have more than 8 seconds to say hello, between all the other people that wanted to meet him. So, yeah.
I remember that day. That day was a cool one because he had come to town with, he had come, I believe, with Tobin, and they had come to play a couple of acoustic songs.
Yeah.
They were doing radio promo. And the same day, the guys from Bad Wolves were there.
Yeah.
So that was really, really fun. And they got to all see each other to get, because they're friends and they got to cross paths. So it was a really, really fun day. But one thing about Jacoby, what I love about him is that he never forgets. He always remembers where he came from, and he's a good, solid dude, man. He really, really, really cares about people, cares about his craft, cares about his band, and I think it was a really, really fun conversation. So I think people are really going to enjoy this one. We have to thank our friends that help us keep the lights on, and that, of course, is our friends at Heartbeat Hot Sauce, the heartbeat of the Rockman Power Hour, in honor of Dustin Poirier's incredible fight. I don't know at the time that we're watching this, but he fought a few days ago for the title. Unfortunately, did not win, but my God, what a fight it was. And if you didn't know, Ryan, Dustin does a couple of credible hot sauces with our friends at Heartbeat. So this is Poirier's Louisiana style.
They are a knockout.
This is a really good one. It follows about the medium meter when it comes to how hot it is, but it is delicious. And I absolutely love this one. So he's got a couple of other ones as well. Check them out over at Heartbeat Hot Sauce, and use our promo code Rockman20, and you'll get 20% off your entire order. And you can use that code as many times as you like.
We have an ad. We could actually play it.
Do you want to play that?
Should we premiere it?
Do you want to debut our ad for Heartbeat?
Yeah, sure.
Let's do it. All right. Well, here it is. Our ad for Heartbeat Hot Sauce.
Heartbeat Hot Sauce. Heartbeat Hot Sauce. Heartbeat Hot Sauce. Heartbeat Hot Sauce. Heartbeat Hot Sauce.
Yep. That was our ad.
That was
we this is what happens when you order an ad off Craigslist. They get the decade wrong. They get seriously. No,
there's a few things to address in that thing. There's a few things to address. Now, if you're listening to the audio version of this, at least you got to hear the song.
Yeah.
If you're watching us on YouTube, you heard the song and you got to watch the video, which is, I sent it to a couple of people, and all I could say, this is hella dumb. Enjoy it. It really is silly as fuck.
But it's like Sharknado dumb. It's so dumb, it's great.
What I love is like I have my and the other thing, just I'm wearing my Heartbeat Hot Sauce and Dixon collab flannel that they did.
Yes, jelly,
which you can get on their website right now, and we'll get you one, right? And it's so funny because at one point there's I'm running in the video and all you see is this like big baggy flannel and my skinny little legs running. And it's just, and then at one point I'm riding a hot sauce bottle.
Yep.
I really feel that you put me in front of a green screen and you just get back at me for all the work I make. Because you're like,
No,
fuck you.
The funny thing is that this is the last shot we did that day. And we have a lot of other work to do for a lot of our things. So then we did the heartbeat thing. And then the last thing, I'm like, I had a treadmill in the green screen studio, and I'm like, can you just do it and look towards the camera? So you were running like that to make sure you didn't fall on your face, because you're like checking your footing as you were going. And we did this one take. The song's like 20 seconds long. That's the one and only take. So we've immortalized that moment. But the next time, I don't know, we can make it look like you're running away from like a Tyrannosaurus in Jurassic Park. We could do a lot of things, you know.
It was beautiful. So use our promo code Rockman20 and get 20% off your entire order. And I hope you enjoyed that commercial. We'll be running it again sometime soon. We don't have a commercial for them, but we do wear their shirts, and that's our friends at Studio House Designs. So thank you to Studio House Designs. I love that green room shirt. Thank you to Studio House Designs for hooking us up. They just dropped a very, very cool David Lynch collection. So I'm wearing this
Nice.
shirt. I'll just get up to show you this. I mean, look at that. Look at the detail on that, man. It's so fucking awesome.
That is insane.
Yeah.
Like, seriously, sometimes people just put a logo on a shirt, walk away, and say, buy this, idiots.
Yeah.
And So Studio House Designs never do that. They go above and beyond when it comes to some details, and they're conversation starters. In fact, you and I were in Niagara Falls Comic-Con last year, and I was walking around in a Beetlejuice shirt, and I was making friends left and right with strangers.
Everyone asked about your shirt. I remember that.
Yeah.
They did. And also thanks to our friends at Audio Technica Canada, Mike Marino, and the whole team over there for outfitting us with this awesome audio equipment. We really, really appreciate you. Okay, Ryan, Jacoby Shaddix, lead singer of Papa Roach, known him for well over 25 years. Very, very kind, nice guy. Always has the time for everyone. And I'm very grateful that we got a chance to chat with him. We've talked to him before, not on this podcast, but I always like catching up with Jacoby. He's just a really positive, loving person who always has great stories. He's really seen a lot of stuff in his life, and he's had a lot of success with this band, and I think a lot of it is due to that band's attitude. They just have a really good attitude, and they're not afraid of hard work. And he talks about this. He also has him and I have a very, very similar Faith No More story, which is really nice. Cool. I think people are going to enjoy, and we're going to find out what he collects too, because we'll find out what he collects, right?
Yeah, exactly.
All right,
it's not what you think.
No, it's not what you think. So let's jump into it right now. Our conversation with Jacoby Shaddix, lead singer of the band Papa Roach. So, first of all, thank you so much for joining us, man. For anyone that doesn't know, Jacoby and I have known each other for quite some time. We, in a sense, kind of came up together.
Absolutely.
Jacoby was with me the day that I found out I was getting a record deal in Las Vegas. And I don't know if you
were.
He was.
Wow.
We were playing in Las Vegas, and Sharon Osbourne came to see us play. We were playing with Papa Roach, and I remember she offered us the moon and the stars. We went and did Ozfest, and I remember going to Denny's with you, and we had breakfast, like late night breakfast together. And I remember we were like trying to get your tour manager Jerry to come with us.
Oh yeah, dude. So that one I remember because we were on our way to Vegas. I think this was the trip where our van had broke down on our way there, and we showed up late.
Yep. And I remember going to Jerry. You guys were going to do the Vans Warped Tour.
Yeah,
we were going to do Ozfest. And I remember going to Jerry going, listen, man, you want to come with us? Ozfest is going to have incredible catering. You don't want to go on Vans. He ended up coming with us. 6 months later, you guys became one of the biggest bands on the fucking planet. And we did what we did. But I'll never forget that you guys, I just know that the first time I met you and the first time we played together, I knew that you had that it thing. You had the thing. You had that thing where people couldn't take their eyes off of you on stage, and you had that thing where you had people in the palm of your hand when you were on stage, and you commanded the audience, and you still have that. So for me to be sitting here, let's say 25 years later,
yeah, right.
Whoa.
Being able to talk to you, someone who's had an incredible career, done a lot of good, helped a lot of people. It really warms my heart to see that you're still in the game, still doing it, still healthy, and still doing it at a level that, man, you guys are still doing it at a level where, not a lot of people can keep it at that level for that long.
Yeah, man, I'm super grateful to still be doing it and still connecting with people through the music. And just thanks for refreshing my memory on that one, man. That was such a cool like blast from the past moment. I totally remember it. And I remember doing shows with you guys back in the day. And you are correct. Ozfest definitely had better catering than Warped Tour. That was just a fact, dude. I remember Warped Tour. I was like, I'm having a blast out here at the Beer Bong Olympics and all, but I haven't eaten in a week. Maybe but a couple peanut butter and jelly sandwiches. But yeah, man, that those early days were, I mean, what a dream it was just to be on a tour, period.
Yeah.
And to be connecting with people. And I remember that Warped Tour being really cool for us because we were huge Snapcase fans, and
yeah,
what a cool moment. And yeah, I look back on those times in our career with I got fond memories of those moments.
Well, it's funny when you talk to people that have toured for a long time and that have had success. Most of their fond memories are the tours before they even were anyone. It's just those first times when you go out on the road, those first out of town shows that you play. I remember the stuff that I did in the early 90s more than the stuff I did later. Way more, because that was the stuff that everything was a victory. Showing up to a venue and having a gig was a victory. Having your show poster up was a victory. Having the sleep, having food, the venue saying like, hey, here's food tonight. And then selling, the first time you break a couple $100 in merch, you're like, oh my God. So it's funny how a lot of people tend to always ask the questions about, what's it like to be successful? What's it like to have a career? But what was it like to start? And do you remember the first out of town shows that you did with Papa Roach?
Oh yeah, man. I mean, those early years, dude, it was like, I remember doing shows. We got to open up for, they were called Soul Brains at the time, but it was Bad Brains, just touring underneath a different name.
Right.
And we got to open up for them at this place called Maritime Hall. And Maritime Hall always had the sickest catering, and I'm just like this little kid from Vacaville, and just, we always would look forward to those moments. Or Slim's in San Francisco. That was another one that was, the catering was sick there. And then, the other ones that, whatever, good time, we'd go down and throw down at this place called Fatty Mocha in Merced. And it was a coffee shop where we'd perform on, there was no stage. It was just like us and the people. And I'm just getting the microphone knocked back into my face. And, but just the memories of just slugging it out in the trenches with my brothers were just, you're so correct when it comes to that. It's like, those are the moments that really like stick out in my mind. And I wouldn't be here without those moments, and I don't think this band would be together for as long as we have been if we didn't have those moments together, really and truly. It's like, I think that those, when you're out there just, living like the starving artist life, and you're still having the time of your life, sleeping on somebody's couch and in their floor, and, just barely getting by. Like there's special memories in that time of my life for sure.
And do you find that there's a humility that stays with you because of that? Because I know you're a pretty down to earth guy. Like I know anyone that has interactions with you, like fans and other people in the industry, they all like, do you keep that humility? Like if you are checking in to say a St. Regis, do you just take a minute and go, man, like I'm really fortunate.
Sorry.
That's okay.
You have the same ringtone as my mom.
Yes. The church bell's ringing.
Are you able to keep that those feet on the ground and go like, man, like, I never take this for granted that I'm in a much nicer hotel now, or that
I'm grateful. I'm absolutely grateful. It's something that it's just, that's in my character. It's part of who I am. And, I was just I went on a vacation with my wife, and we went to Belize, and we were like, we're doing the down home, gritty, gnarly vacation. This ain't like the 5-star stuff. This is like, summer camp with the homies.
Right.
And we went to this little resort, and we had the frickin' time of our lives.
Right.
You know what I mean? And then we've gone, and I've done it, the big old 5-star, and that's lovely. You know what I'm saying? But that's also like, I don't know. There's something within like the uppity culture that I don't really click with.
Yeah.
It's like I can afford to go do those things, but it's like the company that I'm amongst, I'm just like, I try to identify, and It's like, it's just different. I got this like worker spirit, you know what I'm saying? Like I'm the lead singer that back in the day while Tobin, our bass player, was like having beers and like chatting with people, I'm loading the bass cab in the back of the van. You know what I
Good
mean?
for you.
Yeah. It was that's how I roll, you know? And so, yeah, I got that humility about me, and, you know, but I do enjoy some of the finer things too.
Yeah.
Yeah, speaking of finer things, creatively it's interesting. I'm much more comfortable if like the floor's a little dirty. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, like when I feel like I'm the stain in whatever whatever situation I'm in, I feel like all eyes are on me. And then as they retell the stories, will be those larger than life punker metal heads from the '80s that come and ruin everyone's tea party or something. Like I don't
Yeah.
know. It just seems a little antiseptic. Anyway,
Yeah.
you guys were talking about the old days, but something fascinating. You were playing at Shom FM in the Rock Room a few years ago, about 7 years ago, and I believe "Help" was like your big single at that point. And I was one, my girlfriend and I, we were taping that, and then we edited it together. You did an interview with Jason, and it was I was blown away because "Help," it starts right away. There's no
Yep.
intro. It's just like there it is. And I've always admired a band that can play acoustic and sound great and know that they weren't like, just spoon fed all their talent through auto tuning and, tricks. Here it is. And after all those years of hearing you sing, I was like, I have the camera and I almost fuck up the shot because I was like, I jolt of holy shit. That is
Right.
a strong, fucking clean, powerful voice. And
Thank you.
I was just amazed by all the new shit you were doing. Like, the Last Resort. It's a great song. It's a classic. But I was really blown away by songs like "Help," and it's fascinating because I was looking you guys up, and like your last album, you have like 4 number 1 hits on it.
Yeah.
And some bands only have one. They have one "Spin Around the Sun" where they had their time in the limelight, and the rest of their career they're like, remember who we used to be. Like, I think it's amazing and beautiful that even 7 years ago, when you impressed me a second time, you impressed me a third time, a third time recently with all these, because it's not just that you're taking your music back and you have your own record label now. That's fascinating, but it's also the fact that the stuff is good, and
Oh,
that
thanks.
you're resonating not just with aging fucks like me, but for your like young fucks, young fucks, up and coming fucks, ones who are forging
Oh,
their
that's
identity of music. All of us coming together, listening to the Papa Roach. But that's fascinating to me. How does it feel that you're not just one new song and a bunch of classics type of sets? Like, you get to play all these new songs, and it's a part of your set, and you're not disappointing anybody by playing them. Because I've seen Iron Maiden when they played an entirely new album and then threw in some Fear at the Dark at the end of it to,
right.
like, and being a little bummed. In this case, if I heard all these new songs, I would actually be, kind of disappointed if I didn't hear them. So what's it like to be able to bring that kind of, that part of your career to still feel like you're firing on all cylinders, and at the same time, you get to play new stuff, but you also aren't, pissing anybody off by playing the new stuff?
Yeah. I mean, it's been a wild ride, and we've had some dark ages in Papa Roach through the years. And, when we came with that album, Crooked Teeth, that single "Help" was on it, and it just like catapulted us back into this new space again. And we started working with these 2 producers, some younger producers on that album. We really made a concerted effort. We were like, dude, we've worked with all the greats, like some of the greatest rock producers, Brendan O'Brien, Howard Benson, to name a couple. And I was like, all right, like, we learned a lot from them, but where do we go? And for us, it was like, all right, let's go find the underground young talent, because we've learned so much in making records that we know what we got to do when we go in there. And so it was nice to have this like fresh blood that was just like, yo, like, just let's shake this thing up and let's like reinvent. And we're like, that's what we're talking about. That's the energy. Because sometimes you'd be in a room with a producer and have an idea, and they're just like, oh, that's never been done before. And I'm like, well, yeah, that's never been done with us. We need to go try it. You know what I mean? And so it didn't have this. There was this adventurous spirit that was in the room that we're like, finally, like, these guys get it. And it's been a great run for us the last few years, and just continually trying to shake this thing up and come with something that feels authentic, but yet pushing into new territory. And yeah, on this last record, we did have 4 #1 singles, and that really blows my mind, especially that we are the record company. It was a bold, brave move for us. But we were ready for that move. And to make music that is still connecting in a real and authentic way I can it's what I imagined when I was a young kid in this weird way. Like, I've always been a big fan of Faith No More and Red Hot Chili Peppers, especially Red Hot Chili Peppers have really done a great job of like taking their fans on this journey with them.
Staying current. Yeah.
Exactly. And like, that was a goal for us, to like try to stay current, but also stay authentic, not current and generic, current and authentic.
Yeah.
And it's a challenge, man. I'm up for it, and we just went into the studio and we've got like 8 more songs right now. And I'm like, oh, just wait. Like, we got fire in the hole, dude. Like, I can't wait to just like light the cannon.
And that's the thing, like you were mentioning about kind of finding yourself again like 7 years ago, but I've always been impressed how, this long being a band, you have always been able to go through trends, no matter what the trends are, we saw the new metal trend go into the screamo, and then but you guys have always been able to reinvent yourselves, but stay authentic. And I think to me, that always comes back to songwriting. And I know you guys have always been about songs. It has to be, at the end of the day, it's got to be a good song. And you've been, you've managed to have anthems over the years, like, time after time. Working with young producers, having young energy. I don't know about you, but I don't hang out with a lot of people that are necessarily my age. A lot of my friends are younger, and I don't think that's by design. I think it's just by what I attract. Like, I tend to be with a lot of people that are in their 40s. Like, I'm 53. But I tend to be with a lot of people that are in their 30s to 40s, just because I find a lot of guys my age have kind of aged out, and they've just kind of said fuck. But I'm always about forward motion. I'm always about what's next. I don't want to look behind me. I want to look forward. And, just seeing the enthusiasm when you say you want to light the candle on the new, light the fuse on the new stuff. I know that's what drives you is forward motion. Has there ever been a point in your career where people have said, hey man, we want you guys to be more like you used to be? Or we want you guys to, because I find that Papa Roach has just always had so many sides to it that any new side that you would bring, or any new facet you would bring to the band, fit with what Papa Roach was.
I got a funny story for you, right? So it's like, throughout our years, people have always been like, oh, well, why don't you go back to your old school style? And I'm like, okay, we've been around, we've been doing this thing for 20 plus years. What's old school? I got to ask them, like, what's old school Papa Roach to you? And they're like, oh, well, that album, The Connection, that's old school, because they became a fan of Papa Roach in 2010. So old school, one Papa Roach fan could be 2010 Papa Roach, or another one could be the year 2000 Papa Roach. Like, which old school are you talking about? And so it's funny, man. You can't please everybody, and I think that's just fine. I feel like it's, for us, that creative space is to just always try to impress ourselves. It's like it's our job. I feel if we make music if we step in the studio to only make music that's going to please the fans, I feel like it's like there's no forward progress in that. It's like some bands can do that, and repeat this, rinse and repeat. But for me, I'm just like, I can't do it. I think that's another reason why I don't have any side projects.
Right.
Because I scratch all the itches I want to scratch within Papa Roach. We want to make a record feel like a playlist and not just like the same thing over and over. It's that journey and that discovery in the process of that is that's where the magic lies for me. And really, I saw, I think it was Noel Gallagher talking about creativity, and he's like, look at fashion houses, man. Fashion houses don't repeat the same thing. Fashion houses are always progressing what they're doing. Mm-hmm. And I identify with that, because it's like, I want to keep progressing what I'm doing and evolving. And sometimes we fall flat on our face and our fans don't get it. And then sometimes we're wildly successful. But I think that risk is, therein lies some of the magic. is in that risk.
For sure. You know, I was mentioning Iron Maiden before. When I got into Iron Maiden, like I think The Evil That Man Do and Fear of the Dark were some of my favorite songs. But to me and Jason's buddy Babbins, he's like, oh, those shitty new songs, you know, because he was like totally into Number of the Beast and all the 80s stuff.
Right.
So what you said before about what your newer fans consider old school is from like maybe 7-10 years ago. It's important to keep showing up. And I think it's really good. Like, as much as I was saying, yeah, some bands will play nothing but new stuff. It's like, it's nice to know that your audience agrees with you that your new stuff is good. Because, because that can go either way. Sometimes a band could be totally excited about their new album and it's awful, but in this case, it's great. So, is there any nervousness when you put out a new album, or you're just like, fuck, I love this, but I really hope when we play, like, you know, all these songs live, no one's going to go to the bathroom?
Oh, well, you know, there's always some nerves to it. It wouldn't be, I think that's natural in this process. And some songs that I really, really love off of our newer records will perform live, and maybe they don't have that energy that I'm looking for. And we'll give them a go a couple times. And, you know, some songs pop off live, but they're not as successful like on streaming. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, there's a lot of, there's no way to predict these things. You just got to get out there and like put it on the chopping block and see if you make it through. You know what I mean? And it's cool though. It makes for a fun time in the rehearsal space of trying to figure out what a set list is going to be, because it's a battle. You know what I mean? It's like when we go do an hour, I'm just like, oh, it's just, there's not enough time, you know?
The American Federation for Suicide Prevention. Tell me a bit about getting involved with that and why that's important to you.
Oh yeah, the AFSP is very important. You know, we've been singing about this mental health battle since the beginning, since our first song, Last Resort. It was a cry for help, you know, and we've been walking that journey out, you know, I have, and just really expressing everything that I've been walking through in my life. Grateful to have it, you know, and here we are 25 years later, or 20, however many years later from that single. And we have a song like Leave a Light On that's the response to that. It's like, I'm here for you, no matter what. And that message is important. And so we were looking for a partner with this song, Leave a Light On, and the American Foundation for Suicide Prevention, their campaign was called Talk Away the Dark. I'm like, if that ain't got God written all over it, I don't know what does, man. Like, let's go. Because I've got a servant's heart. You know what I mean? And my mom, she, at a very young age, she was always like, we'd go camping and she'd be like, we got to leave the campsite better than we found it. And then it was like, then that conversation evolved into more mature topics. You know, my mom was like, you got to leave a room better than you found it. You know, when you go interact with people, like, what do you leave them with, son? You know, is it drama, or did you uplift the room? And so that was something that my mom had taught me throughout my life. And one of the most valuable lessons literally in my life that I learned from her is trying to leave the world better than I found it. And this is a way for us to do that.
Right.
It's to connect, and it's been in our wheelhouse since the beginning, you know, and it's just so awesome that culture has come around to this conversation that we've been having for years, and the lives that we've affected with our music, and in a positive way. It's like, I just want to keep doing that on a bigger and more massive and grander scale. And so the American Foundation for Suicide Prevention has been our access point. And we went as far as to have a PSA during our last tour. Like, right in the middle of the show, all the lights drop, but the screen comes on and there's a PSA going, hey, listen, if you're struggling out there, there's help. And that's a hard thing to do when you're in that deep, dark hole and you're not thinking right. Sometimes it just takes that, like, wham, you know, and you're at a concert having a good time, and then all of a sudden this very serious moment comes. And we were getting DMs from people going, you know, I was planning on ending my life, and then, you know, I made an appointment to go into a therapist. I'm not doing that. My life is worth it, you know? And so, and I've met countless people throughout the years that have told us our music has saved their lives. And I just, you know, I used to just kind of, that right on, and now I'm looking at it and I'm just going, wow, that blows my mind.
It's crazy when you think, because I've had similar experiences where people have said
Yeah.
to me, like, hey, that you've really helped me a lot. And I really love what you said about, it's such a great analogy your mom said, like leave a room better than when you found it. And
Yeah.
it's so important to, when you hear someone talking shit, or you hear someone that's like, those people that are just complainers, and they come and the kind of people, when they call you on your phone, you're just like, oh, do I want to pick up? Do I want to deal with a half an hour of this? I never want to be that person. So I'm very, very similar to the way you, like, I love being of service. I love being able to be there for someone and help, but it's very hard for me, and I imagine for you too, to ask for help, because I'm
Oh, yeah.
always people. I'll be there, and I will be there for you anytime. I will help you with whatever you need. But for me to have to ask for help, just personally, is really hard. So I'm sure I'm sure it's like that for you to a certain extent too.
Oh, yeah.
Especially when
Absolutely.
when you're a parent, when you're a father, when you're a husband, when you're you're a band leader. You have to have your shit together for everybody.
Oh, yeah.
And when you have to be the person that needs something, sometimes you're like, well, I don't know where to go. But it's like, but I'm so easily able to direct other people where they need to go.
Yeah.
So what do you do when you need to realign yourself without getting too personal? Like, do you have outlets? Do you have places that you can go to? And do you have people that you can confide in? Like, do you have a support system for yourself?
Absolutely, man. It's imperative to have a support system. I went a lot of years without one, and it just was debacle after debacle. It's incredibly important to have some people. I try to have a teacher in my life at all times.
Yep.
I got to have a confidant, somebody that I can go to about anything. And then I got to have somebody that I'm like kind of mentoring in a way. And I think that if I've got those things going, things are in a balance.
Right.
When I don't have that, things start to get wacky. I start to wake up just fear of impending doom. You know what I mean? And I have a tendency to let things build up to a breaking point to where I'm going to snap, and then I just have a break. I have a bit of a breakdown. And I'm like, and when I say breakdown, it's like usually me crying on the couch to my wife going, I'm like at my wit's end,
Yeah.
And then it's all right, well, let's implement the tools you got, Cobe. And so it's spiritual fitness, it's staying off the drink for me. It's staying connected with people. Isolation is a terrible place. Isolation, it can just be like, I am out on my own and just not in a good way. And so I got to mind those things and keep those things in balance. But yeah, it's hard to just say, yo, I need help.
Yeah.
It's not an easy thing, and it never gets easy. But at least I know at this point in my life, it's like, all right, I know when to like jump off the ride and go, okay, cool. Yeah. Like I need to check myself because shit's getting sideways,
Sometimes you stay on that ride a little too long and you're like, flirting with disaster. I 100% feel you on that.
Dude, I was sitting in the room the other night. I'm all, man, thank God we went to dinner because I was thinking about making some bad decisions. And when I mean bad decisions, I almost went across the street and ate Poutineville and ice cream. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. So this is what I wanted to ask you. Because I follow you on socials too. You're in Quebec City.
Yeah, I hear French people behind you, dude. And I was like, Jason, is your mic next to a television or something? Yeah. What's going on here?
What are you doing in Quebec City?
So I'm up here doing a little acoustic run.
Okay.
And cool. I'm at the radio station up here called Boulevard.
Yeah.
And going to play acoustic. And there's a little mental health panel as well as part of this. And so it's a conversation and a dialogue, connecting with the music and connecting with some people. And I go from here, I go to Toronto. And I'm connecting with some people from the NHL, as well as a couple doctors, and doing a panel on mental health and mental health awareness, and the number 988 that is available now in Canada. So for people that are having a mental health crisis, you can just pick up that phone and dial 988, and there's going to be somebody on the other end of that line to walk it out with you and point you in the direction of services that could be useful. And, because the battle of the mind is the next one, right?
Yeah.
It's like health of the body is one element, but it's health of your mind you know, spirit, body, and mind. When I got those three things rocking, man, it's like,
Yeah, you're in a good place for
yeah,
sure.
man, stuff's good. I can go out there and just like enjoy this life.
Yeah. That's the problem with being creative and really like liking people. There's two like I have both my parents in me, and that's the problem sometimes is that opposites attract, which is all good, but when they're living in one person, it's just like here I am, like I want to say hi to everybody. I want to be everybody's friend. I'll go up to anybody. I'll say hi,
Yep.
what's up? Then I'm my dad where I'm like, why did I say hi to that person? They think I'm an idiot. What's going on here? So, in constant flux of which part of my parents is in me is going to be like in charge at this point. And it duels each other sometimes, but
Oh yeah.
but luckily there's the healing power of music, and considering so many people have listened to your music, such as I thought Scars was a total banger. I was like, that's when I really started to
Yeah.
like the band, because like Last Resort comes out back in the day. I'm a punk kid, and
Yeah.
when you're 16 and you're a punk kid and you're such an idiot, you're like, I'm only allowed to listen to punk. I'm only allowed to dress like a punk. I'm never allowed to like rap music. Nothing. I'm sure that you guys have been through the ringer with various groups of people telling you, you can't do this, you can't do that.
Oh, absolutely.
Oh God, when I was 16, it's like you can't listen to rap. You're a punk rocker. It's like, oh God.
I think that's kind of what made us so unique is we always sat on the outside of every scene. We
Yeah.
were never punk enough. I mean, Jay, I think you could identify with this. It's like we were never punk enough, never metal enough, never this enough, never that enough. And I'm like, well, we're us.
Yeah.
And for me right now, that's enough,
It's so true, because one thing about Papa Roach was that you didn't fit in. You didn't fit the mold. Because back then you didn't, like, people would say, well, they're not hip hop enough. They don't rap enough. But you did have a hip hop element to you. But all the bands that fit in that mold always tell me the same thing of that era. They all listen to Faith No More.
Yeah, exactly.
We're all children of Faith No More. And you were mentioning Maritime Hall, and I remember playing Maritime Hall and meeting Billy Gould there because he lived in San Francisco, and just losing my shit because I was meeting the bass player from Faith No More, who to me the greatest band ever. Give me a moment where you lost your shit over the years meeting one of your heroes, and I'm talking like you couldn't even keep yourself cool, collected, like you were just holy fuck.
Okay, here you go, dude. I'm at Bazaar Festival in this is in Germany. I'm going to watch this band called the Beatsteaks that I love. So I roll over side stage. I'm rocking out and look to my left. And I'm like, it's fucking Billy Gould from Faith No More. I'm not fucking with you, dude. And I'm just like, and I'm rocking out, and he looks at me. He's all, you like these guys? I'm like, I love these guys. And I really Beatsteaks. That's why I went there to go check him out. He's all. And after the show, I was like, oh my God, I got to introduce myself. What's up? I'm Jacoby. So I know who you are. I'm like, oh God. He's like, I'm actually producing the next Beatsteaks record. And I'm like, no, are you freaking kidding me? And I was like, just over the moon because I'm meeting this guy. And I was like, dude, we're doing a cover of Naked in Front of the Computer. Come check us out. And so he's like, okay, cool. We'll come check your set out. And I'm like, go back to the guys. I'm like, oh my God, Billy Gould from Faith No More is here, dude. Freaking, here we go. So we go to kick into the song, and I'm so nervous that we just screwed it up right off the bat, dude. And I'm just like, and I look over there. I'm like, oh God. I looked at the band. I'm like, do over. And we ripped right into it, dude. And we did it. The second time we went into it, we were like, the nerves were gone, and we smashed it. And he was super cool afterwards. But I could never really put all my sentences together when I was around him. It's funny that you said Billy Gould.
Yeah, it is funny, but the thing is, so we had him and Matt Wallace come on to talk about the 30th anniversary of Angel Dust.
That's cool.
And they have for 45 minutes. It's the one podcast that when I'm doing dishes, it's the one I just listen to, because in my mind I'm cool. It's never going to be like, nothing's ever going to be as cool as that.
I'm going to go listen to that tonight.
You'll like it.
I'm going to listen to that tonight.
All right. So I know you probably have other people to talk to, and I don't want to keep you too long, but lastly, 25th anniversary of Infest is coming in 2025. People love anniversaries. People love, and we, again, going back to you always being about forward motion, but you have to acknowledge the fact that it is 25 years. Oh, yeah. Is there a plan to do anything to mark that?
So we got a really cool box set that we're putting together. We got some remixes and some reimaginations for it. We also have a book. So we have a book that's been written, and it's written from, I've got a chapter, our ex drummer Dave Buckner's got a
Oh,
chapter,
nice.
Jerry's got a chapter, Tobin's got a chapter, our old managers have chapters, our A&R has a chapter.
Cool.
There's a few people from different bands that were kind of like either fans of us or were just like sounding off about it. And so there's chapters from different artists, and it's about 140 pages. It's a quick read, but it's told from all these different perspectives. And
I
so
love it.
it's pretty cool, man. There's some like stuff that's like the way I remember things versus the way Jerry remembers things. It's just different. It's just a cool, really cool book. And so we got that thing coming out with as well. We're going to do a few shows where we play the record in its entirety. I don't want to do a full tour though, because I'm so excited about the new material that we're doing that it's like, we'll celebrate it a couple times, which we have to, and it will be important. Yeah, man, it's cool to take a look back and, reminisce those moments and see how far we've come and celebrate those moments.
Awesome. Right before we go, buddy, we are nerds, and we like talking to people about nerd things. If there is anything geeky about yourself, nerdy, or something you stand in line for that you want to tell the internet and us, Jason loves vinyls, action figures, collectibles, posters, the works. I'm very fond of trade paperbacks of VC comics, and I'm going through a hardcore vinyl phase, but also I love action figures. What about yourself?
I do not collect anything.
Okay.
Really? Nothing? You're not.
I am like, in this weird way, I think a big part of why I'm not a collector is I grew up without television till I was like 9 years old.
Okay.
So in the early years, I didn't fall in love with cartoons. I didn't like Star Wars. I didn't like Star Trek. I didn't like anything. I was like,
Gotcha.
I play in the dirt out back.
Right.
And so it really was. So as I look back as an adult, because I have a lot of friends that are like, oh, I collect this and I collect this. And I'm like, I feel like a weirdo because I'm like, all right, do I not like anything? And you know what it is for me? It's like, I've realized I enjoy experience. I think that's my collector's thing, right? It's like experience. And so that's where I'm at, and it's like yesterday I'm tripping around Quebec City and I'm like, all right, I just want to sit on this hillside and just gaze upon the city. I'm just that kind of guy.
Yeah.
So I apologize if I don't have any rad stories.
That's okay. That's okay.
No, that's a really original answer, man. That's very cool.
I will ask you this because it's all, and this is the last thing we're going to ask you. And it doesn't necessarily pertain to you, but it does pertain to one of your band members. I never knew this. I was probably 2 months ago old when I found out that Tobin had written the lick that's in the UFC.
Oh yeah.
So, and I know it's probably been common knowledge. I watch UFC like crazy. Do you remember when that all came together?
Dude, so it's so funny. He did it and didn't tell anybody in the band. And it went on for about like a year, 2 years. He's like, and we were watching a fight. He's all, oh, I did that. And I was like, what? Where are you not going to tell me that? Like, that's just so dope. So yeah.
When you guys, are you a fan of UFC?
Oh yeah, absolutely, man.
So when you guys want to pull a favor and you want to go, does he help? I mean, are you sitting in a good spot?
Okay, so I'm about to try to pull that favor here shortly.
Yes.
For the McGregor fight coming up in Vegas. And I'm like, hold on, man. I'm about to hit up the team and be like, hey, man, what's up, dude? You know that riff? That's my boy. That's my best friend's riff, man. Come on, let me in the door. It's cool, though, man. My friend, there's an artist named Des Rocks that Dana White.
Yeah. Des Rocks, amazing.
Yeah, I was just hanging with Danny just the other day in the city. We had dinner together, and he's like, I'm actually playing outside. Dana is setting up a stage right in front of that UFC fight, the McGregor fight, for Danny to play, before the deal. And I was like, oh snap! Now I get to go see Des Rocks and a fight.
That's amazing.
So Hopefully we're gonna pull that card and they'll give us some tickets, man. And I hope they're good seats, man. But I'll take any seat in that place for that fight.
Yeah, no, that is going to be one that a lot of people are going to be. And, of course, with the press conference that was supposed to be happening today being canceled, a lot of speculation of what's going on.
Yeah, what's going on?
No one knows. No one knows. I've been following right up until I got on here. I was looking at Helwani's feed and I was like, because he's going to know. He's the guy.
Mm-hmm.
But anyways.
I will say one more thing too,
Yeah,
just on the UFC. I'm a huge George St. Pierre fan.
Oh,
like
cool.
He was my earliest favorite. He was like the guy early on. It was Uriah Faber, and George St. Pierre. He's just
we've had George at our Comic Cons many times. I've gotten to spend time with George, and when he fought Bisping, I was in LA for UFC 199 when Bisping won his belt, and Bisping was always my favorite fighter. But George being from Montreal, when they fought each other, it was a real it was and then when he beat him, we had George at one of our shows at Comic-Con, and I brought a picture of him choking out Bisping, and I'm like, listen, can you sign this? And he signs it. He just signs, goes, I'm sorry I choked out your friend. And then I said to him, I go, George, I'm gonna bring this if I see Bisping again and get it signed. He looked at me and said, no, please do not do that. That's a very bad idea.
Yeah, right.
And just one more thing about that Montreal. Well, George used to train. Well, he's a Montrealer, of course, but he used to train Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu at my dad's gym, Gamma. We were like one of the gyms that first were doing Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, and he was mainly a TriStar guy, but he would do Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu at my dad's place, and he was so sweet. When I saw him again, I said, "Oh, hi, I'm Philip Jala's son." He's like, "Oh, hi, say hi," and he recorded a video saying hello. But that was shortly after he went in a room and Jason was there. I don't know. You can say whatever you want, what happens in there, but he really wanted to meet Chuck Norris. So George St. Pierre, Chuck Norris, and Ray Park, I think, was all in the same area at the same time. So that was even to a non-martial arts fan of me, I can imagine that that's just kind of like the Beatles, the Stones, and the Who kind of all high-fiving at one point. So
you know it.
Yeah.
Dude, thank you so much for joining us. Have fun in Quebec City. Keep carrying the flag for mental health. I think it's a really admirable thing. And keep healthy and keep doing whatever you're doing because it's working.
Hey, doing my best out here, brother. It's great seeing you guys and great rapping with y'all, for real.
You too, man.
Talk soon.
There's a lot of stuff that I wanted to ask him that I didn't get to. Like, I wanted to ask him.
We'll try to have him on again.
Yeah, like, hey, what's a song that makes you feel better, considering your song makes people feel better to such an extent that you've, aligned yourself with the suicide awareness program. So, also, I wanted to point out that they have like a sequel video, like, back in the day when Poison would have like the last song playing a little bit on TV, then the next video would start and the story continues.
Yeah. It's like a continuation thing. Yeah.
There's a continuation of the song of the video for Help, because Help had a guy with bunny ears, inexplicably have bunny ears. And he doesn't explain why particularly, but in this one, the bunny ears guy goes to see his old crazy dad. So the video for No Apologies is a sequel to Help, and it was really cool. And I remember, just doing some research, as I mentioned in the interview, what really struck me is how good of a singer he is live in a room with no tricks, barely reverb. People use technology as a crutch. There was no technology to be used. He's just that damn good. And when I looked up Kill the Noise acoustic, like, it's also on their page. You could check out Kill the Noise, great song, but they do Kill the Noise acoustically as well. And it's just like, oh shit.
So good. Yeah.
Fuck. I would buy like Papa Roach live unplugged in New York. I'd fucking buy that in a second, man. He's a
great singer, man, and he takes care of his voice. I remember when he was doing that show at the radio station that day when he was doing the promo tour, and I remember at one point he had to leave for 20 minutes because he went and warmed up. And I was really impressed, like, he takes it seriously. And yeah, man, there's a reason why there's so much longevity in that band. They all take care of themselves and they do a great job of just writing freaking killer songs. So congrats to Papa Roach, man, for having all that longevity. And of course, I loved when he was talking about that helpline that we have here. When you dial 988, I never knew that. But so if you're ever feeling down and you feel like you might need some help, 988 is the number to dial. And there are people on the other end of there that'll be able, at the other end of that phone, that will be able to direct you in the place where you need to be. So I think that's really, really cool. And you got to love it, man. You know, when someone's reached that level of fame and popularity, it would be very easy to just say, you know, I've gotten everything I need out of life. I can just move on and live my life. But he's not like that. You know, he says it over and over again that he's got like a worker spirit, and he doesn't forget the little people. And that's a really admirable quality in anybody. I really admire the people that are just down to earth and don't take themselves too seriously. And he's always been like that since I first met him in '99, and he's still the same. So it's nice to see. I know you were a fan of Papa Roach. So for you, that was cool, right?
I was a later fan. Like I said in the interview, like in high school, I was like, I acknowledge as a musician, that Last Resort is a well-written song with an amazing chorus.
Right.
But I'm in Punkville, and if it's not punk, it's crap.
Yeah.
Like that's what it was like when I was a teenager, and then later in my 20s. Like for instance, I finally got into the Clash properly in my 20s. Well, when I was a teenager, it just had to be Sex Pistols, 1, 2, 3, 4, nah, or anything. So I'm just, sometimes I see all these stupid things people do on social media and say, and I'm like, guys, scale it back. There is an altar somewhere I'm praying to, because I'm so grateful that all that stupid shit I said as a teenager does not exist anywhere except in the faded memories of the drunk people I was hanging out with.
Oh yeah.
And yeah, so with that, I remember when Scars came out, and I was like, oh shit, no, that's cool. They're the new metal thing that's gone, but now that's them. Yeah. And then when I heard Help again, I was like, oh, that's cool. That's even better than the last stuff. It seems to me like they're the most fully formed band they ever were supposed to be right now. And I'm not saying that because he's our guest. I legitimately think their best era has been the last 7 years. And that's such a rare thing to say about a band.
They just don't they don't rest on their laurels. They don't they don't sit back and capitalize and cash in on just the stuff they did. It's all about forward motion. That's what we were saying. Like, for him and for that band, they have to write great songs. So I love that. And it seems like that band challenges each other within the band, and you need that. So yeah, it was great. It was really, really great to catch up with him. So I'm really grateful for that. Ryan, we have got some cool stuff coming up. We have to always remember to thank everybody that joins us on this journey, and it would not be available and to you if we didn't have our friends at Studio House Designs making us look good, our friends at Audio Technica making us sound good, and of course our friends at Heartbeat Hot Sauce, the heartbeat of the Rockman Power Hour. And if you're lucky, we'll play that commercial for you another time, but not this time. We only do it once an episode.
Yeah, for now, until until you get drunk on power and I just get drunk. But then when we make those bad decisions. But I'm proud of that ad. You and I wrote the song for that ad. I can't remember where we were. We were like doing something else, and I'm like, hey, what if we wrote a song like this? And then we both kind of finished each other's sentences, and we're like, cool, let's record next week. And then we did.
And I wanted
hand
claps, and we got them. So Heartbeat Hot Sauce. Check them out at heartbeathotsauce.com. Use our promo code Rockman20. Grab yourself a bottle of the Poirier Louisiana style hot sauce. Dustin Poirier collab with Heartbeat. Poirier is always promoting this stuff, and it is wonderful. It is really, really good. A little bit spicier than what you might usually get from Heartbeat, but they will never leave you in the dark, because if you look on the back, it goes from mild to extra hot, and you've got a meter right there that'll tell you what you're buying right when you buy it. Small batch fermenters out of Thunder Bay, Ontario. The best hot sauce you will ever put in your mouth, guaranteed. And if you don't like it, well, you suck. Thanks to our producer, Julia Kujurski. Thanks to my co-host, Ryan Stick. And thanks to all of you, our guest, of course, Jacoby Shaddix and Simon Fauteur of Six Media. Thank you for joining us, guys, as well. We really, really appreciate you. And please like, subscribe, let us know what you are enjoying on the podcast, what you might not be enjoying on the podcast, and let us know in the comments or message us. You can find us on social media. Thank you for being here with us. As always, this is the Rockman Power Hour, and we'll see you next time. Hey, thanks so much for watching the podcast. We really appreciate your support. And if you're enjoying the podcast, click this link right over here to watch the next episode, and click right over here and subscribe. And that way you won't miss anything.